You ever notice how some people just sound more convincing? It almost always comes down to one thing, the specific words they pick. And today, we're going to break down exactly how you can use language to show how sure or unsure you are about what you're saying. So let's just jump right in with a big one. One day, robots will rule the world. When you hear that, does it sound like a done deal, a fact, or just, a possibility? The way you'd say that sentence totally changes the meaning. And that's really the whole point here. Getting a handle on the language of certainty and uncertainty, it's not just some grammar exercise. It's a super powerful tool for being a clearer and, frankly, a more honest communicator. So, how should we even think about this? Well, let's imagine something I like to call the certainty scale. Just picture a sliding scale for your own confidence. On one end, you got absolute 100% undeniable certainty. And on the other end, total uncertainty, complete guesswork. Now, most of what we say falls somewhere in between, but for today, we're going to master the language at both ends of that scale. All right, let's start at the confident end of the scale. When you know something is true, how do you say it so that everybody else knows it too? Just listen to the power in these phrases. Words like certainly or undoubtedly, and phrases like there's no doubt that, they're built to leave zero room for argument. These are the heavy hitters you pull out for a hard fact. And here's a perfect example of how that works. This isn't being presented as just like my opinion. It's framed as a concrete reality. Using there is no doubt tells your listener, hey, we all agree on this, right? This is a fact. Okay, so now let's flip it and go all the way to the other side of the scale. Because, sometimes the smartest thing you can do is be really clear about what you don't know. And saying you have doubts isn't a weakness. It's actually a sign of precision. It's honest. So, here's your vocabulary for being uncertain. Simple words, right? Maybe, perhaps. They open the door for possibilities without locking you in. And then you have phrases like, I'm not so sure, or I doubt that, which flat out state you're not convinced. Look at this in a real sentence. Is it a guarantee she'll find the info? Nope. And that little word probably is doing all the work here. It manages expectations. It says, hey, it's pretty likely, but I'm not making any promises. That's what I call precise communication.
All right, theory's over. You've seen the tools in the toolbox. Now it's time to actually use them. Let's run through a couple of examples together.
And we're back to our future robot overlords. So, if you wanted to show you have some doubts about this ever happening, which phrase from our toolkit would you grab? Just think about it for a sec. Here's one really solid way to do it. I'm not sure that. See how that works? It attaches your personal feeling of uncertainty directly to the idea, but you're not totally shooting it down. You're just stating your own perspective, clearly and honestly. Okay, let's try another one. This one feels a lot more like a fact, doesn't it? So how would you phrase this to show that you are absolutely 100% certain about it? That's a great choice. Kicking off the sentence with a power word like certainly just sets the tone right away. It's like planting a flag at the beginning of the sentence that tells everyone, hey, listen up. What I'm about to say is a fact. Okay, one last one for practice. This is another statement that a lot of people would argue is a fact. So how do you say this to give it the most punch, the most certainty? And there you have it. There's no doubt that this is one of the strongest phrases you can possibly use. When you say this, you're basically telling people, don't even bother arguing with me on this one. You're presenting it as a settled truth. So, okay, we've gone through a bunch of phrases, but let's get to the big question. Why does any of this actually matter in the real world? Well, it all comes down to the power of being precise with your words. Think about it. When you match your words to how confident you really are, you build trust. People know you aren't just bluffing. You manage expectations, so nobody gets the wrong idea. And maybe most importantly, your ideas land with exactly the force you want them to. And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Your level of certainty is actually part of your message. So when you choose your words this carefully, you're not just sharing information, you're sharing how much you believe in that information.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Using the phrases we just talked about, what is one thing, just one, that you are absolutely, positively certain of right now? Think about it. Thanks for tuning in.